There is this story from the Bible where there's a rich man that's dressed in these nice clothes and it's this nice linen and he lives in luxury every single day. But at his gate is a beggar named Lazarus, where Lazarus is constantly asking for help and to spare him anything that he can. But the rich man essentially walks by him, doesn't care at all, and keeps moving about his day. And so at the end of their lives, the beggar ends up going in one direction, the rich man ends up going in the other direction when they die. And in that time, the rich man is essentially asking for, even just a drop of life from what Lazarus is experiencing. And he's told that, well, Lazarus has been through all this terrible things, all this BS essentially during his actual life on earth, whereas you experienced great things, and now you guys are essentially in a flipped position. And so when we were going over this study at this Bible study that I was just at, they were essentially one of the talking points, and bear with me as I'm summing up essentially an hour and a half's worth of conversation within just a couple of minutes, a couple of sentences. But essentially, money is not a bad thing. It is the worship of money, the idolatry of money, in which makes it a bad thing. And as we were talking about this and going through different points, I started to connect this a lot more to health and fitness and something that a lot of my clients have experienced personally. And so through this, I noticed that a lot of people who are rich, a lot of people who have money, like a lot of money, a lot of the people I've trained have had a lot of money in their lifetime. And I noticed a few different things. One, the people that work hard for their money and they end up getting that luxury of life. I believe there's some statistic around 85% of millionaires are self-made, meaning they did not come into money, like they had to earn their way to money and figure something out along those lines. And when you realize that these many people are self-made, the ones that idolize money are the ones that almost forget why they wanted it in the first place. Meaning, some people might have had a family member that passed away from cancer, but their family didn't have the funds to even support them and get the medical treatment they needed. So they decided, dang, I need to get so rich that if anyone ever has to deal with this problem again that I care about or love, I'm going to be able to take care of that. Money will never be an issue. For other people, it might be other reasons where they felt inadequate growing up and they thought, something needed to fill that void, a mission, a passion, something along those lines. And through that, a lot of people realize like even getting the freedom and the flexibility of what money can provide for them, because money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure does make things a lot easier. And so through that, I think when people actually do find that success and they do find that money, like the rich man, for example, even if it is self-made, it is tough to remember why you started in the first place, especially when you are comfortable. Meaning, when you have that much money, you essentially, a lot of people do it for the idea of freedom. They don't want to be tied down to anything. They want to experience life on another level in which most people probably never will. And they're in a position in which, yes, they do have all that money, but now it starts to become more like a game in which now it's like, okay, how much more can I progress? How much more can I hoard? And a lot of the times, like some people, I know a handful of people that will just hoard a bunch of money, even if they are at the end of their life, or they just think like, they just like that idea of constantly progressing to where it's not that the money's doing anything for them, because you can't take your money to the grave. It doesn't do anything for you. But the fact that you're just holding it in a bank account or in the stock market or in some sort of savings, or just holding it in a bunch of cash in your house. And it's not like you're getting to use that money, to experience that money, not even passing it down to your children or grandchildren, especially for those that do that don't have children or grandchildren. Uh, it's kind of interesting because you almost forget the point of why you started it in the first place. And I noticed it's a very similar thing with your health, to where like I don't necessarily eat salad and chicken and beef most days, vegetables most days, because I'm like, oh, I just absolutely love sweet potatoes and I'm just going to eat this salad every single day. No, I don't necessarily love doing those things, but it's what comes with those things that I know I get to achieve it, and that is why I do it. Meaning it is the end result. in which I am aiming for. It's not because I like the idea of eating salads. It's not that they like the idea of just making money just for the sake of making money. It's what can you do with that money? What can I do when I eat salad every single day? What can I do when I pay attention to my calories and my macros and I go to the gym? Well, it provides me with a body that I like, a body that I enjoy seeing myself in, that I enjoy being in. And through that leanness comes confidence. And now I have confidence in other areas of my life where I can lead these other people to get healthy bodies in themselves. Through that confidence and through me putting in those inputs that I might not want to do, I do it for a specific reason to where now I can have a long lasting life. I do have a certain amount of longevity that will be there. And I do have a certain amount of memories that I'll be able to create with my friends, with my family, and I could do more. I can go to Disneyland and walk if I wanted to because I am in the health to do that. If I was 600 pounds, yeah, I probably wouldn't be walking Disneyland or going on this hike with my family. There are certain things and certain limits that you put on yourself when you don't have good health. And so I noticed that with a lot of the wealthier people that I've talked to, a lot of the wealthier clients that I've talked to over the years that have opened up about losing their mission and losing their purpose, essentially, with it, where it's like, yeah, I almost forgot my reason to why I wanted to make so much money in the first place, to where I can give away to people and I can help these other people out. And I don't have to have my family stress about health issues or getting medical treatment or whatever it might be. And so the same thing goes with your health, where it's like, yeah, you don't necessarily eat the salad because you love the salad. It is more so that you eat the salad because through that comes a body you like, a body you enjoy being in, and memories that are created because you're in the good health and have the good confidence to experience and live more. Another talking point that was brought up in this Bible study, like I said, this is a very brief run through of what was said, but it was essentially, why do people wait until some sort of life crisis has happened before they start taking God seriously? And I thought that was pretty interesting too, because same thing, that ties directly into health. A lot of people that I've trained, they have gotten to 300, 400, 500 pounds. Some people have gotten cancer, been diagnosed. Other people have had like type 2 diabetes and all these, had to be put on all these medications to where they just literally had to live their day-to-day life with those medications. And a lot of people don't take their health seriously until something happens to them and they realize, oh my gosh, I need to stop doing this. Like I said, same thing with the salad. It's not that you love eating the salad, it is what comes with the salad. And at the same time, it is not just the gain from that, it is more so the idea that you are trying to prevent other things from happening too. One of the hosts of the Bible study, she actually mentioned that she is on a little bit of a diet right now, and essentially one of the main things she's trying to do is just cut back on her alcohol intake. But that is very tough to do when you have everyone around you essentially just handing you drinks, and they almost feel guilty if you're not partaking in it, you're not participating in it. And so there's this unintentional form of peer pressure in which they want her to partake. And I believe she's 55 years old. Her and her husband are around the same age. So they're in this position where they are trying to focus a little bit more on their health and they're trying to pull back on the drinking, but everyone around them is just going to keep attacking that point because they either feel left out or they don't want to feel guilty of it, or they just want them to enjoy themselves and have fun and they don't understand where they're coming from. So even with that, I mentioned like, well, it's tough to say no in those scenarios. It's almost like the minute you put your walls up, everybody tries to break those walls down, which is unfortunate because you would think the minute you put those walls up, like everyone's going to support you. But no, that's actually not how it typically goes, especially if you're in a setting or an environment where most people are used to doing this. So what I told her was this, like when you are dealing with that peer pressure and, trying to fight this crisis, like you want to take care of it before it actually happens. And essentially you just have to, one, just say like, oh nope, I'm good, like I'll pass on that. And then if they keep pushing because they're friends with you or they're super close, or just like, oh come on, just one, you just have to say like, well no, I know you're like a huge supporter of me and I know you support like me and my goals, so I just really need you to be my rock right now and just support me in this because like that drink does not help my goals right now. And if people can't get that, then you just have to give them a firm no at that point. But there's a little bit of psychology that plays into that, where you have to maneuver socially in a way to where it's like, hey, you want them to help you, and they do want to help you. They just might not understand why, especially in the moment. Everyone's crazy, everyone's enjoying themselves. They might not be thinking clearly, especially if they already have alcohol in their system. So one of the things that we said was like you don't realize you need help until you're in the dumps. And then even in let's say every time you're sick, you're like, wow, the one thing I wish for right now is to just not be sick. And that's something that a lot of people take for granted when they're healthy. Like just feeling normal, when you go from being sick to feeling normal, even just that feeling in itself is like, oh my gosh, thank goodness, like I can actually just live now. And you start to take that for granted over time because as humans, like we just forget. We forget that we can be in good health. And then a lot of people, they'll get to certain points in their life. Like I said, people have been diagnosed with cancer before having to actually turn their life around. People will get freaking surgery or lose a limb because they have type 2 diabetes and all these challenges going on. And it's like, oh, shoot, I had to go through some total BS before I started taking my health seriously. So, like I said, sometimes you just have to remember your why, remember your mission behind everything, and then you have to take it seriously before something bad actually does happen. That way, you're taking a proactive measure. You're not just reacting to everything. You're actually on top of it and trying to prevent certain things from happening while still achieving and attaining a life that you love living and a body that you love being in. So, like I said, that was just a very quick sum up of an hour and a half's worth of conversation within maybe like 10-15 minutes just now, but a couple sentences to sum that up. If this resonated with you in any way where you want to use health, you want to use fitness as a tool to start spilling over into other areas of your life, when you get your body in check, a lot of other things start to get in check. Fitness essentially just lays that foundation in a lot of different ways. If this is you, if this is something you are looking to achieve, there's a one-on-one coaching application in the description down below. Feel free to fill that out. I'll reach out to you. I'll see what I can do for you, and then we'll go from there. If anything in this video resonated with you, please be sure to drop a like down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.